Welcome back to Tales of Two Bros. I'm Angel,
I'm Adan.
and this is our series review of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Season 2. Spoilers, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe currently streaming on Netflix. Season 1, Season 2 is out. By the time this review comes out, Season 3 will be out. So I just wanted to do a little recap and get your thoughts on what you thought about season 2, because I know when we did our semi-year in review, this series was a surprise to you, a good surprise. What about this season?
Season 2, I feel like it had a little bit more focus in some aspects, in the sense that, okay, we need to get back to Eternia to rescue the kingdom from Skeletor, which was a great concept. But oddly enough, became like a task of the week, like the mission of the week kind of episodic situation. They did introduce more characters besides Skeletor and all the usuals like Beastman and Evil Lyn. We had Stratos. There was also Manny Faces. Triclops, yes, thank you. And so you get like some more origins out of that. And it's interesting like how they handled some of those characters. There was a little bit of, there was a little bit of a change of character for Evil Lyn and Ram Man. And then that brought in a whole new aspect from that. They definitely had a clear cut cliffhanger. I was just binge watching a show when I was watching season 2, and I was like, okay, like some of these episodes I can, just spitball these, have these playing in the background. I'm okay. Some of them were really good. They had a little bit of evolution of their abilities and skills. That's pretty par for the course. And then Ram Man does the whole 180 on the whole cast and characters of the story. And I'm like, whoa. And they leave it at that cliffhanger. And I'm like, oh, wow, that sucks. I wanted that. I wanted more from that episode. So I feel like season 2 was more as a bait and hook to get you ready for a season 3 to come.
I would have been happy if they cut to the chase of getting the kingdom back. Stratos, that stuff, I was like, oh. This season, in my opinion, was not as
kid, yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, this season didn't grab my attention as strong as the first season.
I know exactly what you mean about it being childlike in the show. Granted, it's a kid show. We know this, but
right,
like kids can watch shows and you don't have to dumb it down. And a great example of it is like the episode where they have to do it. Basically, is a train heist, and they figure out the best way to steal from the train is to not fight. But act like you're in a dance to get the robots to start dancing with you. And then there's kind of like, yeah,
it's like the saying, you get more out of sugar than vinegar.
Yeah.
I mean, that was okay. I wasn't, but it's just like Stratos bothered me. He was egomaniac. He was a narcissist, all that stuff. But, and then the sword becomes a surfboard, like the Silver Surfer. And then he has his own team. I forgot what they're called.
Well, no,
they all fly. They're all,
one's like a mosquito, The other is like a giant dragonfly. And who's like, I forget the dragonfly's name, but it's like,
that was my favorite episode. Only because my favorite episode when they brought in the dragonfly is because the voice is done by Bobcat Goldweight from Police Academy movies.
I recognized the voice, and I was listening. I'm like, he's still alive.
Oh yeah, he does a lot of directing stuff. He still does comedy still, but he does some directing and things of that nature. But it got intriguing like as soon as they got rid of Skeletor and he was in his staff and communicating with Ram Man. That was, for me, that caught my attention.
Yeah, but that wasn't until like the last 2 or 3 episodes.
But that's what got my attention, and
I mean, like even they had like
it happened sooner.
Skeletor's birthday episode where it was like them stuck and they're like trying. Skeletor's upset because no one's like really celebrating his birthday, or he doesn't get the right gift. I get where you're coming from, and I don't disagree. It was like really, it felt like a filler season.
I wish it wasn't, because I was really digging how the first season went. Yeah, and then like the moment with Skeletor and Man-at-Arms. That was like,
it's a filler episode.
Yeah, another one that was just silly. They're going through the portals from one here another, and then trying to escape. It was just this season was not my cup of tea. Again, the only part I liked was when the two best friends, Ram Man and He-Man, are fighting, and he's trying not to, But the thing is, like, she misheard him or didn't hear his whole conversation when he got reunited with his father, that she's the closest thing to my sister. I want her to be by my side. I don't want her to be a general somewhere looking over that. I want her to be accepted. I want her to be the princess.
Exactly.
I'm going to be the prince. But she was already getting the crumbs tossed to her by Skeletor, that it just made her flip.
I just remembered they changed Ram Man's name, name to Rampage. I was like, yeah, that is a cooler name. But I mean, when the action's there, it's entertaining action. The action really wasn't that different, and they had some really good action. Story is, I think, where it lacked for this season. You know, if the story flow was like this in the first season, I probably wouldn't be entertained for season 2. I was hooked because, like, I watched season 1 and season 3. I'm interested in based on how they ended it.
You know, we did see it build up. We did see here and there lead to it, with her questioning where she came from and how the helmet came about, whatever. And Skeletor teaser, like, do you know where that helmet is from and where that stone is? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there are some crumbs being tossed down or sprinkled down, but still it was like, all right, let's get to it. Let's get to it. Get this Stratos guy out of here. They made him like the comic relief, where you had already characters there as the comic relief. You had the Man at Arms there. You had that. You had the side characters. You have Skeletor, who is at moments the comic relief. Then you have Beastman and Trapjaw.
Honestly, they're all comic relief, really.
Evil Lynn, she was downplayed in this season, in my opinion. I'm just hoping, like you said, like season 3 is better. They continue that build up they were leading off in season 2, or ending with season 2. When she turned hard. She was like focused on finding her truth and also not letting anyone stand her way. Anything else there? Because I think this is going to be a short review on this one.
Honestly,
did you have a favorite moment there?
So other than like the turning at the end, the cheesy moments where I could openly laugh, again, were the kiddie moments, and those were the ones I laughed in. But I already mentioned,
like what?
The train dance where like Skeletor is dancing with the robots, and there's the one robot that is like in love with Skeletor, and he keeps getting rejected. And he has like I think he had like a box of chocolates or something like that. Or no, they would show like a heart on his face and then it breaks. And I would laugh at that. The birthday episode, I didn't really laugh too much on the birthday episode. The security guards, when they're brainwashed and they're having like a debate, a conversation about like, are we really making the decision or is he making the decision for us? And they're like having like this meta context, like meta conversation about what it is to be mind controlled.
The guards or Beastman and Trapjaw?
No, this was when he first took over. Remember, they started off season 2 with Skeletor in charge of the city, controlling all the soldiers of Eternia.
Oh, okay,
and it's like the Eternian guards like manning the parade that Skeletor forces everybody into, and they're having this debate about like what it is to be mind controlled by Skeletor. That's clever. It's above a lot of people's heads, but it's clever.
It's also very, I don't know if you want to call it meta, because I really don't know what the term means. This is how old I am. I don't know what that term means, but meta, where it's like very reflective of the times, where like you said, with like the Trump nation, where he wants people to praise him and give him parades and all that stuff. And are they mind warped, or are they mind, we call it, because they fell in love with the idea that they choose this guy to be their leader, and here like Skeletor is forcing people.
I mean, the definition of meta is like to be self-aware or self-reflective in that sense. So like when I'm saying they're being meta is like the guards are self-aware that they're being controlled, and they go into that conversation as like, well, technically we're being controlled, but we're acting on our own accord, and they're going back and forth about that. It's Deadpool, great example of what meta is. Deadpool, fourth wall breaks all the time, so he always makes commentary about like what happens in the real world, or something like that.
Gotcha.
But I digress.
It was still enjoyable, not as fulfilling as season 1.
True.
We can say that, right?
Yeah.
It is worth watching because of what happens on the third act, if you will, the last episodes. And I'll be looking forward to watching season 3 and how they progress. Does it get better? Oh, Orco had a good moment before we end this. He did have a good moment. He had that, not as good as he had in Kevin Smith's version, but he had a good moment where he was able to connect to the other robots and he spread his consciousness into them, and they were able to capture or take down or no, reclaim Eternia.
Yeah, they started the Orcopolis.
I don't remember how it was. How it was said.
It was clever.
God, it was clever. And again, I saw that. I was like, all right, he has his moment here. We haven't seen that in this show, him having his moment. So it was nice to see. Now, I do hope that Stratos becomes less narcissistic. Granted, that's probably one of his characteristics. So he'll probably be a little bit more or still the same of that. But I hope that does change. I wouldn't mind the Dragonfly, Bobcat come back. But that's it. I mean, it is worth the watch. I wouldn't buy it, but it is worth the watch. It is entertaining nonetheless.
I would agree. It's it's worth the watch if you're planning on watching season 3. If they didn't have a season 3 coming out and we didn't get that word, honestly, knowing how this is, I would have been say it's not worth the watch. But we got season 3 coming out. I would say worth the watch.
Hopefully it's good. Hopefully, well, better than the second.
Yeah.
And I know it's kind of hard to do that since it's directed to a much, much younger audience than us.
True.
But
some seasons are better than others. You know, like some shows go on and like you have a season is a throwaway season.
Well, I hope only season 2 was that. I don't hope not of season 3 because I would like to keep watching it.
True.
And I hope there's no other new powers from the sword. Because the flying thing took me out too. I was like, really? Now it's a surfboard?
I am quite sure there's going to be more powers.
Yeah.
If I was a betting man.
All right, guys. So, guys, that is it for us for our series review of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, currently streaming on Netflix. Until next time, will be the next time. I'm Angel.
Adan.
Love you, bro.
Love you, bro.
You can say I love you too.
Love you too.
No, that's not too late.